just wanted to touch on one thing because it's been pretty turbulent out there. And you made a very interesting comment in there. You said, look, the country's not dying. You feel the media has gone overboard in this matter. Can you tell us, sitting there at the apex of the biggest company, the stock exchange, what's happening? Where are we going?
Yeah, look, I'm getting heartily fed up with the media because I think that the media have taken this "if it bleeds, it leads" thing too far. If you look at the headlines in the newspapers, I haven't looked at it today because, frankly, I've stopped reading it.
Yes.
You would believe we're in a different country. I think, it is all about the negative story. And I think Kenya's doing pretty well. As my chairman said a moment ago, 5.5% GDP growth is actually pretty good.
It is.
Yes, we've seen some high interest rates. Yes, we've seen the shilling suffering a little bit, but we're seeing a recovery in all those things. And, we need to dwell on those rather than on the negative story. So I would say, yes, you refer to us as one of the larger companies.
Yes.
But I would say my outlook is certainly not as bleak as the Kenyan media would have you believe.
It's painting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob, can I go to these results? Because, they're really outstanding.
If you must.
Yeah. Wow. I was sitting next to Dennis, and each time you sort of read out a number, we were going, wow, that's... So first of all, total revenue, Bob, over 90 billion, I think, when you look at 97.22 billion, up 22.54%.
But all of this is pretty much in line with guidance.
Yes.
We've always
Which you upgraded.
We've upgraded a little bit. But these results, these half-year results, we've always said low double digits growth.
Yes.
Was what we expected to achieve, and that's what we've achieved. I think one of the surprising numbers is probably the customer acquisition, adding another 3.25 million customers. We'd always said that when people say, has voice died?
Yes, we were always saying that, and you've actually
you've always said it.
Well, no,
you
because
guys
everyone
always
would
said
say to me, Alicon, voice is dead, all these things have come now.
Yeah, and we have always said that, there are more people coming into the market. We've got a growing market, the population is growing. If the population is growing, then of course the customer base will grow. 3.25 million is a pretty good share of those people who are coming into the marketplace.
And also, what was interesting to me was if you look at your voice revenue, it actually grew twice as fast as it did in this period last year.
Yes. Last year I was disappointed with the performance in voice.
Okay, there was some pricing issue, was there?
So I think we'd gone off the pace on price and proposition. But this year, you'll have noticed actually the network has improved.
Yes.
And if the network improved, then people use it more. We took a look at our prices at the beginning of the financial year, and I think that's also fed through quite well. Customers have responded well to it.
So voice is not dead, it's held up well, you've actually outperformed, I think, most people's expectations in that regard.
And voice went slightly ahead of what we were expecting.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And then looking at the other side, obviously there was really strong growth on the other side. If we can go down, first of all, just talk a bit about M-Pesa. That was a very robust number, revenue up 24.1%.
That was again a little ahead of what we were expecting it
Yes.
to. We've got about 22 million Kenyans using M-Pesa today. The 30-day active is a little bit less than that. So we've grown the number of customers who are using it. But what we've always said is that the important thing is giving people more reasons for using M-Pesa.
Yes.
And once you've got things like Lipa and M-Pesa, more and more people are using that. Although Lipa and M-Pesa, the number itself is not that significant. We have improved the efficiency for merchants. So merchants improve their cash flow. So we now have a settlement direct to bank.
So they're able to cash out more regularly?
Immediately.
Yes.
Immediately, whereas before...
That's been a big challenge for these guys.
It has been a big challenge. Once upon a time you had to actually get the money to the bank, and it used to be able to take as much as days, and if it was towards the weekend, it was a big problem for them. Whereas now, it's instant. And we announced with 10 banks earlier this week. Last week, again, I was with
Chase Bank.
Paul and Jagger from Chase Bank. We're deepening the work we're doing with Joshua Igara and KCB.
You spoke about seeing yourself as a platform inside there, which I thought was an interesting point you were making. The theory in telecoms a long time ago was closed gardens. I remember that phrase would always come up, and actually they'd always talk about Vodafone about that in that sense. Have we turned that upside down now? Are you turning that
Well,
upside down?
I don't know whether other people are turning it upside
Yeah.
down. I think I have always been a collaborator.
Yes.
And sometimes those collaborations don't work, for sure. I've always been a collaborator. I always believe that if you and I get together, we can achieve much more than if we went our separate ways.
Yes.
And but the use of the word platform is really kind of inspired much more by my conversations with people in Silicon Valley and in San Francisco. If you take my favorite example is always Uber or Airbnb, and there are many more
I
of
thought it
those
was a great
coming.
quote about Hilton and the Hyatt.
Well, it is, and I was with Joe, one of the co-founders, a few weeks ago in New York, and Joe is about collaboration, is about a platform. Uber is no more than just an algorithm.
That's right.
And a data center. That's all.
And it disrupted the entire market.
It's completely disrupted it. Although Travis from Uber will say, I didn't set out to disrupt. I just set out to understand what the customer wants and then figure out what tools do I have to do it. And often those tools are not necessarily sitting in your toolkit. You need to go work with someone else to go achieve it. And so I would like to see all of the capabilities that we have. I'd like to make those available to others so that we can go and meet customer demands. The M-Pesa API,
yes,
releasing that is...
That was only possible once you brought it back.
It
right?
was.
Yeah.
And I know people used to give me a real hard time
I
and say,
remember.
Safaricom, you're being too protectionist about this. And I used to say that until the platform comes, I can't do anything. And as soon as the platform came and was stabilized, and we were really pleased with how stable it's been. As I said earlier, October was the first month in the history of M-Pesa where we didn't have any issues with the platform.
You always it had a very cyclical thing. It was a Friday afternoon, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and you'd always see, and I haven't seen that surge for a long time.
No,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And people haven't noticed the improvement. But if you say, did you notice? Then they'll say, actually, yes, you're right. It hasn't. We haven't had the downtimes that we've had.
So all round, quite happy with the way M-Pesa's going. Feel
very happy,
these are strong double-digit growth numbers. We're still on that trajectory. I think you gave a compound rate which was 20-something%. So
we're very happy with it. We're also very happy with the way mobile money is going generally. It's not just an M-Pesa story.
No.
Lots of other people getting into this space, and Kenyans have really embraced it. And so whilst the media would love to see that I'm having a fight with other people, it's not about that. It's about raising the tide. And if you raise the tide, all of the boats will float. The market... I keep saying, and people don't listen, which is why guys like you are surprised when you come back and you see numbers like this, because you're not believing what I'm saying.
No, I do.
And I keep saying that 90% of this market is still a cash-based market.
Yes.
And if it's still a cash-based market, it means that there is plenty of room without trying to destroy each other. That's just a foolish game. I mean, that's an old-fashioned game to play. And
Well,
we don't really
I remember at the beginning, when you first came in, that was the game that was being played. But
it was.
It didn't work.
You can see the people who played that game lost.
Yeah. Let me go to sort of the very sexy curve, your sexiest curve of all, which is the mobile data.
When you work in the mobile phone industry, you don't actually think of sexy curve.
No, but it's the fastest. it's and what I found interesting was a big price cut in bundle costs. This sort of had to hurdle that, and it was a very strong performance. How would you characterize that? Is that still the sort of
people speak, and they speak from a populist perspective without really examining the numbers. And I hear people say, "Oh, we need to bring prices down."
Yes,
we have brought prices down. The market has, not just us. The market has brought prices down, and now you can get, depending on which data bundle you buy, you can get data from as little as 33 Kenya shilling cents per MB.
And you were saying this is one of the cheapest data offering points in Africa, is that correct?
It is, absolutely. You go compare it to South Africa and those other places, you will find that this is the cheapest.
So why is there this sort of propaganda that somehow it's expensive?
Well, I come back to trying to grab headlines. People think that grabbing headlines is more important than getting to the truth, and we're not in that space.
So what you're saying is it's a very competitively priced...
Our average price per MB, forget about the 33 cents bit per minute, is about 70 cents.
Yes.
And our average price this time last year was more than a shilling.
Wow.
So it is coming down.
So you're giving oxygen to that whole revolution.
We are, and we're trying to encourage more people to operate in bundles, because when you get out of bundles, and the prices are, of course, very high. And of course, speed helps.
Yeah.
We have launched 4G at the beginning of the year.
It's fast now.
It is very fast.
Very fast,
And P3, the company we commissioned to do this work, gave me the preliminary results last night, which show that in Nairobi you can pick up as fast as 30 Mbps.
I'm one of these massive consumers, and I run about 15 pages, and I can tell when it's really working quickly.
And the faster it is, the more you will consume.
That's right.
Because
you're more efficient as well.
Our research has shown that people don't like slow.
No.
And once you've used it once,
yes.
I've been traveling a little bit recently, as you know, and you get to places like the US.
Yes.
And if you don't get onto one of their fast 4G networks,
it's not fast.
You're sitting there waiting for the stuff to download.
No, well done. Now, Bob, if we look through, what else would you characterize as something impressive from those results? I mean, I found it all impressive across the board. Where else have you seen growth?
I come back to my thing that the numbers are interesting for shareholders.
No, but they confirm a strong story, right?
But we have a more interesting story around what we call the true value analysis.
This was the KPMG analysis you were talking about. Yes.
There's always a sense that Safaricom has done more than just these numbers. These numbers betray. And so when we asked KPMG to do the analysis, and they've done this in a number of other places, it has become clear that the profit number from last year, which was about just under 32 billion shillings, our real value that we added to the economy was almost 10 times as much. It was 315 billion shillings in terms of the number of jobs created, in terms of the impact of M-Pesa on customers' lives.
No, huge.
And what it showed is that for every shilling that a customer spent on transaction fees, they gained 4 times. They gained 4 shillings in benefit. And KPMG have a methodology for working that out, which we'll talk about.
Yes. I saw that. I thought that was, and I think, just to go back to some of those points, if you look at how embedded your brand is in the psychology of this country, it shows up year after year whenever we talk about it with your Delight Index. It is a stupendous success, I think.
Yeah, the Delight Index, we don't measure the Delight Index, we now measure Net Promoter Score.
Yes.
And Net Promoter Score, we've reported a number of 6 to 3 here, which is a 5-point lead against our nearest competitor. But if you look at things like brand equity, I wouldn't have believed that we would have been able to improve our brand equity above 84%.
And what was the last read you mentioned?
9 to 1.
Yes.
Now,
that's huge.
The nearest brand, which comes, is
what
I think
percentage?
Is at 4 to 6. Wow. So it's a huge improvement. But also, if you look at reputation and trust is a really important measure for us. And of course, we do betray customers' trust from time to time. I put my hands up, and we don't intend to do it.
Yes.
But our trust score is at 92.
That's huge.
Now, 92, you wouldn't find. Actually, I don't think you'll find anyone else in the world. Not just in Africa, with a 92. And I mentioned just now the Fortune 500 list of companies that change the world.
Yes.
As a little company, we smile inwardly because we're actually kind of pleased because that's how we measure. And we came, just with the record,
first.
We came first. Ahead of Google, ahead of Facebook.
That's an extraordinary.
The other one who's in that list, incidentally, which we should also be, and I should give them a shout out, is M-Pesa.
Yes.
Because we've been working with M-Pesa for many years now, and they're also in that list. But we're kind of pleased that at least it's been recognised that
I think it's
we are making a bit of an impact
worldwide. When you've got Bill Gates tweeting you guys and all kinds of things. Can I just quickly?
Bill Gates. We have worked. Michael before me, and now I. I think Bill has always been impressed with the impact that M-Pesa has made. And unlike a lot of people, people just want to be billionaires. When you speak to Bill, he's about how do you make an impact. And the reason why he likes us is because we are making an impact. It's not because these numbers compared to Bill, I mean, it's nothing.
No, but it's pretty important here. Can I just touch on 2 other points, number-wise? Free cash flow came down quite dramatically from the previous year. Obviously, very cash generative. Can you just tell us what you did that created that? Was there an acceleration in CapEx?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. It's acceleration in CapEx, in the early spend of CapEx, because when you build a base station, the money only starts to come through, the revenue only starts to come through after you've built it. And in the past, we've kind of back-ended it and wait until towards the end of the year to rush to spend. This year, we front-ended it. So we built more of those earlier in the year, and we're now seeing that starting to feed through. That was the first thing. The second thing is, of course, we paid for the National Police project. And the project is pretty much finished now. I think we've just got some cameras, a few cameras left to connect in the next week or so, and we'll hand it over. But it's that front-ending that's resulted in a reduction in free cash flow for the first half. But the second half, you've seen the guidance.
And now, I mean, looking forward, by upgrading guidance, you're obviously pretty bullish about the full year performance.
We're as bullish as the upgrade has suggested.
And Bob, to leave us with some interesting detail about what are you seeing? You've got this cockpit view and on the Kenyan economy. What are our people doing? What are you observing? What can you tell us to finish off? Because really, these results speak for themselves. I don't. And it's a pleasure interviewing you, because each time I come in here, I always wonder what they're going to look like, and they always look great. So that's the first point.
Cockpit view is an interesting phrase.
You've got your dashboard and...
Well, yes, we measure lots of stuff. And, our new regional structure means we're measuring the minutiae as well. So we're getting all the way down to the cell site to say, this cell site, how is it performing relative to how was it performing last week and last month. And we're also getting the feel of the customer. So the business is no longer being run from head office, it's being run from the region. And we're beginning to see, what we are seeing is, of course, the high interest rates are beginning to affect some small, medium-sized enterprises.
Because it's been a pretty huge shift, really, for those guys.
It's been a shift, but we've started to see a recovery.
Yeah.
I'm
like yourself, I'm bullish. I think, T-bill rates are coming down, and I think the shilling goes back below 100.
I think so. I think so. So I think there's a little bit of short-term turbulence.
Yes.
But I think we'll, as a country, I think we'll do well. I'm hugely confident. And, I look at, our friends. You look at Joshua.
Yes.
Joshua Gara from KCB. I'm pretty sure Joshua will tell you that he's also pretty confident. I
think he released his results last week, and he was very confident.
It depends on the lens through which you can always choose to look at it through a negative lens. Always, everything. I can look at you and say, you're bald, or I can look at you and say,
but so are you.
I can look at you and say you're fashionably. Fashionably.
Oh, how kind.
No, it's not being kind at all. It's telling the truth.
Bob, fantastic results. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I think they speak for themselves.
Thanks, Anika.
Thank you.
Thanks.